to Crazy Turtle's kitchen, and the weather is starting to get a little bit warmer, and so it puts me in the mood for this kind of a more of a springy vegetable tofu stir fry. I know I'm obsessed with tofu, but I hope to encourage you to try it. It's so healthy, inexpensive, and I think it's delicious. So it takes on the flavor of whatever you give it. So I'm trying to give you lots of flavor. So I've got my block of extra firm tofu. I've let it sit. I put like a heavy pan on it in this cloth to be able to get out any extra liquid. And I am just going to cut this up. I do have these cutting instructions in my perfect baked tofu recipe. I'll put that in the description, but today we're going to do some pan frying with it. So I am just going to divide these into fourths both ways. And I know a lot of people will stir fry chunks, like cubes of tofu. I like to make these kind of pyramid type shapes. So for each rectangle or square, I'm kind of just slicing on the diagonal, because when we stir fry that, there's a lot more surface area. It's smaller, and so we want it to be crispy. That is, I think, a lot of people's complaints about tofu. Well, I mean, other than what it looks like, it's just kind of bland, beige and bland. So anytime we can add a little bit more texture, I think it kind of helps. But again, it is such a light and healthy protein. It's low calorie, if that's what you're looking to do. They're very inexpensive in the store to use, have a lot of great applications. And it is a nice protein just to serve with the vegetables that you like. And stir frying vegetables, you're pretty much just giving them a nice little sear. You're kind of keeping all those nutrients in there as well. So I have all these awesome little tofu bits, and in here is my marinade, which is a combination of honey, soy sauce, a little sesame oil, rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar like I didn't today, I had white wine vinegar, that's fine, and some red pepper flakes. So I'm going to give this a nice little whisk. And just pour this over my tofu, kind of toss that in there, and I'm going to refrigerate this. Ooh, smells great. For 30 minutes. And I will meet you back here then. Show you the next step. Hi, welcome back. Our tofu has been marinating for about 30 minutes. And what I want to do is reserve that marinade. I'm not worried about it. Sometimes you have to be real careful with marinades that you make with meat because of that raw meat. But we are just not going to have to do that because tofu, you're not having to worry. Let's see how we did. If you wanted to rig up something that had a colander and a bowl underneath, that's quite all right. But I was trying to think of the best way to show you what we're going to do with this marinade. See if I can get any more out. Okay, and over here we have a quarter cup of water and a teaspoon of my magic ingredient, cornstarch. So we're just going to whisk that up together. And pour that in the marinade. It will thicken up a bit, and we're going to reserve this to finish off our stir fry. So I'm going to meet you over at the stove for our final production of putting it all together. Hi, I've got my oil heated up about a tablespoon, and whoo, here we go. We're going to saute this at high heat. Try and get a nice little sear. The marinade does make the tofu a little wet, so we might have to do that a little bit longer. And I've got it on to about medium-high. I usually start it out at high, so I know that my pan is hot enough when I start a stir fry. But yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of char on these. So I'm going to turn my heat down for a moment and just scoop these out. Ooh, that smells good. And see how awesome they look. So nice and golden brown. Don't worry, we'll see them again. So I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. Turn that heat up and add my mushrooms. I'm using portobellos. You could use shiitakes if you kind of wanted to, I don't know, upscale it a little bit. But they're not necessarily easy to find at the grocery. And portobellos work really well. So we're going to get these a little bit softened, about 3 minutes. As you see, my mushrooms have softened up a bit. I actually added a bit of water because the tofu char was starting to kind of smoke a little bit, so I did not want that. So I do have a little liquid in here. Didn't necessarily want the first time, but that's okay. We will make it work because we have a little bit more to go. Now we're going to add, and this is what makes me so think of spring. I remember eating these in my parents' garden when I was a kid, but these are sugar snap peas. I just trimmed off the ends. And we're just going to get these softened about 2 minutes because we want them to still stay green. We don't want them to get all wilty. So look at that lovely bright green of our sugar snap peas. We're almost done here. We're going to add a little bit of garlic. And I have some minced ginger, fresh ginger. What I do with my ginger is I peel it and I put it in the fridge. And so then when I need it, the freezer. And then when I need it, I can just pull it out and then I grate it. Because I don't always use ginger. And when you buy that big root, I don't want it to go to waste, and that's one way of preserving that. I have a little castaway. He went under, so I can't get him. And now just sauteing that till it's about fragrant, about 30 seconds. And here comes our fabulous tofu. Pop that in. And now it is time for our marinade that we reserved. That cornstarch is going to help thicken this up. I am just going to turn the heat up for this final bit. Oh yeah, I hope you can hear that. Delicious sizzle. Good stuff's a-coming. And there, I'm going to take that off heat. The marinade, if you look, it has thickened up. There's not much liquid left. So the options for you are to serve this on some rice or perhaps with some noodles, maybe some buckwheat noodles. But right now I'm just going to plate it. I have some yummy spring onions. We're going to garnish it with that. And voila, you have this beautiful kind of spring tofu stir fry. super simple, doesn't take too long. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you give it a try. Maybe have some other variations. Please feel free to share with us. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.